Yeah, so today is going to be my first coaching session with Tim. Tim is a May player in our Discord. You've probably seen the big fight stick. That's him. Um, so we are going to do our first coaching session. We did a lot of coaching sessions a while ago, and things just got pretty busy for me, and I also took a break from the game. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on with that. We're kind of doing like a restart on it, but we're also gonna go back and kind of fix what we can. Move my camera a little bit. So today, I kind of want to go over round starts with him, but we're gonna kind of ask what's going on. So let's give him a little bit of a call. All right. So you've been playing a lot more recently. Is that
Yeah.
correct? By the way, I'm recording. If that's cool.
Oh, you're big
Um,
chillin'.
yeah. So what do you think about how you've been playing? I was kind of reading some stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So what's funny is actually when I played Jish, I was low key getting giga tilted. Like I was getting so tilted because like I would jump in and like 5K,
yeah.
5P, 6P. I'm like everything anti-airs. I'm like, what the frick, dude? I'm like everything on this stupid Ram character anti-airs. But no, obviously like I just needed to stop. But like like I did try to like rein it back in. Like all right, calm down. Like all right, we're doing whatever. But I do remember against Jish specifically, I was like getting giga tilted. I was like, gosh darn it. I'm decent. Like Jish is better than me, obviously. Like hands
Yeah.
down, I'll be like, yeah, me and Jish meet up in a bracket. I got a chance to steal one game, maybe push it to game 5. But it's like
Yeah.
he's winning 9 times out of 10. But like that's the thing. I think the in set course or the in set was like 27-3 or maybe like 27-2. I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, I'm better than just 2 wins every like 15 games. But yeah, no, against Jish, I did round start. I was terrified. Round
Mhm.
start, I just blocked. Granted, he did throw out a lot of wild options round start.
Mhm.
I don't know what the special move is, but I'm just literally. Actually, no, that's not the right move. Anyways, but it's just the one. It's kind of like
Daru.
no, 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 not that one because that's windshield wiper, right?
No, Daru is the one where it dashes to you.
Oh, with the punch. Okay, yeah. So
Mhm.
like he did that round start a few times, and there was times where I was like, bro, if I just block that, I'm plus. So like it's just like I just punish, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but still, like,
that's some pretty good observation. Actually, let's kind of let me switch this
mm,
real quick. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Because yeah, I mean, I think Jish did give you some pretty good advice. Um,
mm-hmm,
when I was snooping around, and I kind of snoop around in the LG chat, see what's going on, you know.
mm-hmm,
But you said that you were kind of just giving up round start all the times, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's kind of go in here, and we could kind of I kind of give you like a breakdown, maybe stuff what Ram's doing. You know, maybe that's um, probably don't need to know that, but in general, I think what the big thing I'm gonna kind of I think we started off with round start last time. I think we're gonna go back to round start again
Mm-hmm.
because Jish was like, you know, you probably just like up backed or just block back around start every time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing you can't do against Jish because he's kind of a fucking animal. Um,
Yeah.
so and I think just like being more confident around start is just gonna help you just like play the game a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you just lose round start, you don't know what to do on defense all the time, and then
Mm-hmm.
like you just don't get to play.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just gonna see some options Ram has, and we're just gonna start off with Daru because that's the one he was probably doing, right? And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have this frame viewer, I recommend it. It's kind of gonna
Okay.
might help you. I know some people don't know how to look at frames,
Mm-hmm.
but I think after a couple of you know times that we practice together, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
kind of better at it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the frame viewer
I
downloaded or
don't.
not. You see my screen, right?
Yeah, I see your screen.
All right. So we're gonna have after position round set, and if you wanted to, You could do position reset. You could even have the call timer here. Round call on. So whenever you reset the position, it's going to do this. So we see that when Ram does that, plus 10, right? We're plus 10, she's minus 10, right? But then we could kind of like, develop, what kind of punish we want. I don't know what, May's going to do, but, you dash block it, maybe get a close slash, or, I don't know what the punish on May is. Obviously, I don't play May. But, like, this is the stuff that you could practice, and that's kind of what I kind of want to kind of bring into this. It's like, which is going to take a little bit of homework, because I mean, this is not something you're gonna figure out in like 3 days of practice or something.
Yeah.
But you kind of want to see what like the natural start options, right, for characters are, right. So like in Ram's case, like what she's like mostly going to be doing, let's kind of take this off. Like we could even like start off at level 1, right? We don't even have to go like, well, you could do like walk back, far slash or whatever. We can start off pretty simple, right? And do is you ram just far slash around start, right? It's going to smoke you because far slash is really good. It's like, okay, well, what could I do against far slash, right? And you can just sit there and you can press your buttons and you're like, wow, 5K works, right? So it's like, okay, what can I do here? I can do 5K Dolphin against far slash if they decide to commit to it around start, right? And then it's like, okay, what if they decide to not do 5K and do, something like 2S, right? And, this is obviously going to take a lot of homework because, like, what, it's like, okay, well, 5K trades there. Like, if I'm expecting that, what I do, okay, that doesn't punish, maybe I just do far slash, okay, that doesn't work. Maybe I just do, 2D or something. It's like, oh, that hard gives me a hard knockdown. Like, maybe we just take that trade, stuff like that. Or, like, you want to give yourself advantage in certain situations. It's like, okay, if I could get a PD there, maybe 2D's worth it in that case. But again, a lot of it is just RPS and what you're expecting your opponent to do. In the case of Jish doing Daru, so that's just a surprise, right? And like there are cases where you could cover more than one option. Let's say we switch this to Daru, right? Okay, well they can do 2S or Daru, right? Let's see if my 2K beats Daru, and it does, right? And your 2K trades against 2S. So now you could be like, okay, well if he does Daru around start, I could do like something like, I'm just gonna do something simple like 2K into Dolphin or something, or maybe it's like 2K 2D into Up Dolphin or something. I don't know if you can do Up Dolphin or not, as you can see. Okay, there you go. So this is kind of how you want to practice being more confident around start, right? If you know kind of like what beats what round start, you're more willing to call people out on their habits, right? Like, Jish likes doing Daru round start, right? And I have a really good, punish against Daru. Let's see if I'm a really good 2K combo. I don't know it. Then you're just like, okay, well, I'm fucking cooking, or maybe I block Daru and I do something, silly like this, and I take like 40% for doing Daru. Well, then you can kind of like expect, different approaches around start, right? And then if you like the RPS around it even further, because this is all RPS, right? Like, let's say, Ram does 5K instead, right? They're like, okay, I'm just going to pick a safer option because he's kind of blowing me up. Like you could start maybe like, calling out the safer options then and stuff like that with, maybe just run-ups and, I don't think anything be okay, a 2S and stuff like that. So like this is where like kind of the labbing part becomes really important in the games. It's like, okay, like you got your combos and whatnot. Now like let's say in that just set you lost round start to Daru, or you didn't punish Daru round start enough times, right? Well, now you could just come in here, do this reset, and then just see like what you could do, what could have beat it, and stuff like that. And this is good against a lot of characters because there's let's switch this up. Let's do like Nago. In this case, Nago is like a big round start demon, right? Where you're gonna kind of need to figure out out of RPS against him correctly. Round start, because his round starts are one of the best in the game, and like one of the best things he has is Shizuru whatever round start. So like a lot of characters just get smoked by this. You get counter hit, you basically die, right? You try anything. But a lot of characters or some characters have some low option that could beat it. May does. There you go. So now, let's say you're expecting Shizu round start, right? Now you get 2D counter hit. I don't know what you get off of it. Maybe H Dolphin into 5K or whatever. But either way, you give yourself, more of a chance round start instead of blocking Shizu and doing like Beyblade dash at you know. And stuff like that. And then obviously, he has other stuff he can do around start. A big one is 6K. This one is going to be lows. If you're doing a bunch of lows at him, he's going to do this to low crush you. But, 2D trades, you can't take that. Maybe your 2K, I think your 2K will get smoked, yeah. Your 2K will get low crushed, and then, he'll do stuff like, 6P if you're just far slashing at him a lot of the time. So shake 6P into Shizu and stuff. This will beat your far slash most of the time, and he gets a pretty big reward off of it. And then again, just like stuff that you could beat, like, do 2S there instead. And then, obviously we could go like a little further, right? Like let's say you block Shizu and he does Shizu into like clone Beyblade or something, and then you could kind of figure out like what your options are there. But I think the level 1 of like how do I beat this guy's 6P round start. Like if he's doing 2D, or if he's doing 6P Shizu round start, he already found a move. Your 2D beats both of them round start, right? So like now you could kind of like RPS around. Well, my 2D beats 2 of his moves, right? So he's gonna kind of have to commit, and it even beats his 6K, right? Or at least trades positively to 6K, right? You get you get a hard knockdown on it. He gets, you're staggered, which kind of sucks, but like, you get meaty this or something. I think you get meaty close slash. Let me check. You do get meaty close slash. So now we've already figured out like 2D is a correct button against Nago around start, right? And obviously he could probably do stuff to beat it. I'm not sure what he could do. Maybe like 5K. Actually, 5K might get smoked after the buffs. Also, or after the nerfs. Okay, well that doesn't do anything, but you're probably getting Beybladed after he does 5K. Maybe standing S might smoke you. And this is like, okay, obviously, okay, maybe her 2D is just cracked. Maybe heavy slash, I don't know. I don't think they do heavy slash round start. Yeah, okay, your 2D kind of just like fucks a lot of his options, but obviously he could do stuff like Beyblade. That will beat you, I think. I'm not even sure anymore. I think it's Zaramuyuki in this Beyblade. Okay, well he could do clone, B2. And then okay, well B's Beyblade too. Well, her 2D is really good against Nago apparently. So you could kind of like, okay, now that you've known that you get a counter hit right off of this and a lot of his moves, now you could kind of RPS around him through 2D, right? Now like your round starts, shouldn't just be like, look, I'm just gonna let you DP me, get a bunch of plus frames. It's okay, I'm gonna make you RPS around 2D. And since it beats a lot of your moves, you're gonna have to figure out something against it. And then that causes the Nago having to do clone into Beyblade, which is pretty high blood cost, right? So now like you kind of force the Nago to kind of commit to something just because you kind of know the round start a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like this is gonna someone coming from someone that kind of knows, what Naga will do round start. He's gonna do stuff like 5K. He's gonna do stuff like 2S. He's gonna do stuff like Shizu. He's gonna do stuff like 6K if you're doing a lot of lows to beat your lows. He's gonna do 6P because he gets a really good reward off of it. So he's gonna do stuff like that. So it's obviously gonna take a little bit of research and I guess like playing the game, figure it out. And like let's say your round start options, right? 5P is really good because it's low committal.
Yeah.
2K is pretty good because it's pretty quick. Your walk back forward slash is really good because it just swings. Got a good swing on it, and then you get a little wild assault combo if you need it. I don't know what the combo is, but you'll figure it out. And then your 2S is a really good button to counter poke 6Ps. Your 2Ds, obviously got hella range on it, and it could be moves with big lower hurt boxes pretty well. So you kind of know your character, right? So like, or you're gonna know your character enough that you kind of like use these moves at some point. But obviously against the other characters, like one of the harder buttons to beat in the game is Happy Chaos. Happy Chaos. Happy Chaos 2S is one of the harder buttons to beat in the game, right? It's kind of bullshit. Do I have him doing it? No, I don't. And then after this, we could kind of go to questions. Like Heavy Chaos 2S is like one of the best buttons in the game, basically. It just smokes your far slash. I don't know if it smokes your 2K. It does. It like your 5P you probably get hit by it. Yeah. Your 5K will probably get hit by it. Yeah. Your far slash will get hit by it. Yeah. Your heavy slash will probably get hit by it. There you go. 2D might beat it. Yeah. Okay, it doesn't fully beat it. It trades, which we'll take. But like you only got one button that kind of really beats it, right? So you kind of have to be a little more creative, right? That's when like walk back far slash kind of exists a little bit, but then you're gonna have to find a good combo off of it. Maybe you just take the hard knockdown with like oh shit, I can't even do it. You wall assault into like 2D or something. But there's gonna be like buttons like this where it's like, okay, well, how do I beat this button? And it's like you kind of have to go what I call like level 2, right? This is like when your just standard stuff isn't gonna work. Like just hitting 2K, 2D, 5P, 5K, just not gonna work. So you kind of have to start doing stuff a little bit different. This is like 1.5, I guess, layer 1.5 of round start, where you're doing like walk back into this, or like maybe you're just straight up, just going to call it out with like a JH or something. Okay, well, it low profiles it, but you get what I mean. Like whatever toolbox you think you have, or maybe just like walk back dolphin or something like that. Which kind of sucks because you're not gonna get much. But these are just buttons that you could kind of like think of, and then like you're just like, okay, well, my 2D trades positively with me. Could he do something else to beat 2D? And you're just like, okay, his next best button is 2K. What could I do against 2K if he doesn't decide to do 2S round start, or if he knows I'm beating him with 2S? You can start doing stuff like stand S and 6Ps and stuff like that. You can just kind of see what happens during those things. But again, like this is. You're not gonna know all these, like, okay, what is Happy Chaos's main round starter, or what is his like best button to do round start stuff, which is fine. But like this is stuff that is gonna be really helpful to know, because again, like what Jish was saying, like he's like, I knew you were just scared round start, but that's why you probably experienced him doing a lot of Darus and stuff at you, right? Because he's like, well, he's not gonna punish me anyway, and when people start knowing that they're not gonna get punished, right? They're just gonna start going wild at you. You know,
Yeah.
they're just gonna be like, well, he's not gonna do anything about this anyway. I could just do whatever the hell I want, and nothing's gonna happen to me. And that's like, you know, just thing you have to be kind of. That's kind of like one of those like faults in the gameplay that you're gonna have to attack, right? As soon as I know someone's not gonna punish me for doing something, I'm just gonna keep doing it. You know, like I'm just like, okay, until you figure it out, like there's no reason for me to stop. And you know, that's gonna be like super important. And you know, I think that's gonna be kind of like the big thing I kind of want to focus on is like, how are you gonna win around start against most of these characters? And you know, like obviously blocking is fine sometimes, right? But like you really want to put something out at the start. You know, at some point, like, you know, there's 3 rounds in every game. Not every round should be up back or hold back, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you know they're gonna do something stupid like Daru or let's say Nago, right? You're like, okay, I could call out, you know, his Shizu with 2D, but also if he spends two blood bars and I'm right on the guess, like it's pretty advantageous for me. I'm fine with holding down back, but then that's like layers on how you want to play the matchups, right? It's not really like how you play round start. So like, you know, maybe just like, you know, like throwing something out, seeing how someone responds. Like obviously, you know, Happy Chaos's best neutral button or round start button is 2S, right? So you could almost guarantee Happy Chaos to press 2S in every round start situation until, or at least game 1, right? So in your head, you could be like, okay, I'm going to do 2D because I know I beat it. He might not know you beat that, right? So when he figures out that you know, you can now beat his 2S with 2D, he's going to start thinking differently, right? Now he's like, oh, I can't just keep doing that. And that's when you could start changing your round starts. Maybe you think he's going to do something silly to beat your 2D, and then you could hold block, and then you're just like, well, like you kind of fucked yourself. Like, let's say you were doing, you know, let's say you're doing like walk back, you know, far slash against Jish, and he's just like, okay, well, I'm going to start Daroing at you, and then you kind of figure that out. You're like, okay, well, he's going to start Daroing at me now. Now you just hold, you know, now you can press 2K against him, and it'll stuff the Daro. You know, stuff like that. You know, that's where kind of like round start, kind of like mind games kind of should go to. You know, because if you're not just like keeping your opponent like kind of like guessing round start, or at least know that you could beat them round start, they're just gonna start doing stupid stuff at you. You know, like for example, like Jish will not Daro at me too many times, right? Maybe once. Maybe once or twice, and if he's like really tilted, he'll do it like 10 times. Because he knows I'm just gonna kill him for it every time, right? And like, you know, Jish is the type of person that like wants to see big numbers and stuff, you know? So like if he knows he can see big numbers for you, there's a lot of people like that. If you know he can see big numbers against you, he's just gonna keep doing it. So that's why it's like super important to know your round starts, and like that's, I think, as you play your games, and it's okay to like that's like one of the best things to ask someone round start, right? Like after a set, let's say you play Terumi, right? And Terumi's probably you know, Terumi's a good player, so they're probably gonna beat you, right? And like you've done a bunch of round starts against them, and then you could be like, or maybe they're doing a bunch of round starts, and you're just like, oh, what is Baiken's like best round start? Like, you know, what could I do? Or like, you know, you have any tips to beat this round start and stuff? And then they could give you their kind of like weaknesses, right? Because like, you know, like you see Happy Chaos is 2S, you're probably just like, what the fuck, man? You know, like I can't beat this with anything. You're just, you know, 2S, 2P, 2K. And like, you know, sometimes there's moves where you're just like, well, I gotta hold down back and you know, pray to God. You know, Shizu before the nerfs was like that, where you're just like, you know what, it's better for me to hold down back and hope I guess right, you know, rather than RPS with it. But you know, if you could RPS with it, you could RPS with it. You take this. So like, you know, Happy Chaos' 2S is a good one. It's like, okay, what can I do against this? And like, you know, someone will tell you maybe there's a weakness to it, which there's not. But, you know, maybe there is, you know, and like, you know, a player that's proficient at it is going to know it, right? Rather than, you know, you could lab all you want. But they could also give you like the layer 2 stuff, because you're like, okay, well, I'm using 2D to beat 2S round start, because we kind of talked about that, right? Where
Mhm.
I think 2D beats it, right? On round call. We do round call because I can't time it like that fast. So,
Duel 1. Let's rock.
you know, it's like, okay, well, if I do 2D there, like what's your counterplay to, you know, my 2D, you know, hard knock down you there? And they could probably, you know, just say something like they're gonna do walk back, you know, 6S or something like that. You know? And that's just good information because now you know if you're beating this happy chaos and like they start adapting, now you can start, you know, planning for, you know, plan B and plan C and stuff like that of what to do against this character.
Let's rock.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I feel like I've just been rambling for like 20 minutes.
No.
And
No,
you,
like a lot of a
yeah,
lot of it does come like doing your homework, right? Just like,
yeah,
all right, like there's X number of characters, each one of them probably have 5 or 6 round start options. It's just like kind of just understanding the numbers. All right,
hmm,
my 2D smokes like 5 out of 6 Nago options, right?
yeah,
And the one it doesn't smoke, we both whiff. So it's
mm,
like just trying to find the one thing that's like, oh, this smokes 3 of the options. Now half the round starts are off the table, you know. So
no,
just
exactly. You just want to take stuff off the table, and it's okay. Like let's say you're like doing 2D, right? And then like you're like smoking the guy, and the guy finally finds like a counterplay to 2D, for example, right?
mhm.
That's okay because now you force them to use that counterplay, and you
Mm-hmm.
know it's about taking people out of their comfort zones, right? If they're so
Yeah.
comfortable doing Shizu or 6K or far slash round start, but none of that's working, well, you're taking them out of their comfort zone now. Now they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
scared to ever go back to that comfort zone because they know you have
Mm-hmm.
a counterplay to it, right?
Yeah.
And then like now you could find counterplay to that, and then that kind of
Mm-hmm.
starts making them think. They're like, should I go back, or should I just assume he's gonna keep doing the counterplay? And that's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where it becomes like, okay, which one do I do, which one do they do, blah blah blah. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you show that you already know what the counterplay is, you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
putting them the next thing on them, right? If they don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to beat your 2D from there,
Mm-hmm.
that's on them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you could beat someone in a set completely off of that. You know, like, oh, you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what to do round start. Every time wall breaks, I'm just gonna do this, and you can't do shit about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
Duel 1.
and again, it helps if you know you have like combos or like setups afterwards, so they become a little more threatening. You know, like obviously, like you gotta make sure your strike throw is like really good after this one because you don't get a
Mm-hmm.
combo, you just get a trade and a hard knockdown into a meaty basically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta kind of have to know that, you know, and that's where like the practice comes. It's like, okay, what do I get when I beat, you know? Let's go back to Nago. Um, you know, like what do I get? And obviously, I'm not going to be able to tell you that because I'm not a main player.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you could um, kind of see. And again, a lot of these things, like okay, maybe your 2D beats Nago, a lot of Nago's options,
Duel 1.
but it's like, you know, maybe it's not worth it or something. Like your combo is
Mm-hmm.
not good enough, right? And that's when you know you could start kind of
Duel 1.
looking at how people that play your character are going
Duel
to
1.
kind of play the round starts against these characters. So you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what do they do here? You know, for example, and then you could kind of like form your game plan around theirs. Again, you don't want to take everything. You know, like
Duel 1.
taking everything is like, obviously what they're doing is good, but like maybe a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff they're doing is player to player specific. Like,
Yeah.
like let's say
Duel 1.
Slash is playing Varix all the time, and he's doing
Mm-hmm.
this one like he's doing like a whiff 5P or something, and that might just be
Mm-hmm.
specific to Varix because they play enough, or they're like, okay, he likes
Mm-hmm.
doing this. I'm going to do this to counter this. But that's obviously not information that's useless to you. But it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not all Nagos are going to do that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
the floor 10 Nagos and the lower Celestial Nagos are just going to do Shizu round start, and I just need to kind of like hone in on how to beat Shizu round start.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it also just helps you like get like not memed on, like round
Yeah.
start where it's like if you take a Shizu counter hit round start, you're taking like 60% of your health bar against a Naga that knows what he's doing. It's just like the game's kind of over sometimes from there. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh fuck. I should have learned how to beat Shizu, you know. And then the Naga's gonna keep doing it. You know, like you gotta kind of like punish these players for like using these really high risk, high reward stuff that they're just not getting punished for on the daily because like again most people don't know their round starts. But I think you know figuring out like what do you like pressing around start, what your combos are around start is kind of like where you should kind of go with this. And again, like I'm not saying go into training mode and do this, which is helpful. Like I do this a lot, where I'm just like, okay, like how the fuck do I beat this character around start? I'll just kind of run through their level 1 options, like okay, and then like I'll play a good player or something, or I'll play someone that did something different. I'm like, okay, they did this and kept beating what I usually do. What should I do from there? You know, stuff like that. And again, a lot of that stuff is a little hard to kind of like,
Duel 1.
you know, maybe mimic because you don't play Nago, right? You're not gonna be able to do like, you know, like
Let's rock.
Fukio back into clone, Fukio forward, Shizu to beat whatever the hell you're doing, is
Duel 1.
or whatnot. But you know, that is pretty helpful that you could kind of like ask someone that you're playing against, and like you know, that's kind of like what
Duel 1.
your matches should be like. Oh, like you know, like I kept losing to this at this point. Like, what can I do to improve there? And then you can kind of figure it out, right? So, yeah, I think that will be kind of like how I want you to kind of think of your matches that you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
This time, just like I want you to take risks around start, and again, you're probably going to lose, right? A lot of those risks are probably going to be wrong. But you also have to like keep note of like what you pressed, what they pressed, and like what could have you done from there, you know? Like what was the better option to press there? Like or did they just throw out some wild fucking option that you couldn't beat round start no matter what? It was just pretty risky on them. Like maybe sometimes holding down back is pretty good against, you know, some characters. I don't know which character would pretty good pulling back against. But you know, some characters, yeah, exactly. Like just blocking round start is might be the answer because you just get like a really good punish. Like again, it's like a Daru, right? Someone's doing Daru round start all the time. Blocking it is pretty good. It's 10. It's minus 10 on them. You know, you get a pretty good punish if you know your combo there. So yeah. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today.
Okay. Word.
Yeah, sweet. Any questions about that?
No, I don't think so because I think majority of it is just like because like honestly, quick Google search will tell you like, oh, these are like the 3-4 best round starts for each character, and just kind of like
No,
figuring
exactly.
out like interactions between that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
And
like, all right, cool.
yeah, if I'm
How
not
does this beat that?
mistaken, let me pull up Dust Loop real quick. If you click on a character, let's do like Johnny, for example. Okay, they don't have round start information. Unique mechanics, round start. Okay, well they do have like John. Here, let me show my screen. Sorry.
You're good.
Let me show my screen. If you go to counter strategy, you gotta like click on the character or whatever, and then counter strategy. They have a round start counter strategy, which will basically tell you. Jacko has distinctly threatening around start, a couple setups. Most common around starts are 5K, 2K, forward slash, and 2D. Exactly, right? I'll kind of go around that. And then it's rarely it can be worth checking 5H, IDJS, or 2D. So it basically tells her like what she's gonna mainly press round start, what she's going to press round start, you know, like maybe as a layer 2 or as like to throw you off or like big rewards, right? Like 5H might be a really big reward if you're not kind of like if you're kind of going crazy round start. Let's say you try doing like a special move round start and her 5H will smoke you. She gets probably she probably gets a big reward off of it and stuff like that. And it kind of shows you kind of like the round starts and like 2D's her best round start because it gives her best combo. Her far slash is decent, and 5K, 2K, low profiles, and whatnot. And you just kind of go through that. You're like, okay, like maybe you're in tower and you're struggling against, like, Elfelt or something. I don't even know if they even, and they're just like, okay, like these are some of her biggest round starts. And you're just like, oh yeah, I was kind of getting smoked by that. Let me go and see what I could kind of counterplay against that, right? If that makes sense. Yeah. So, I think, maybe record some games you're struggling with, and we can kind of go over like how you're playing round start. I do want you to get a little more aggressive round start because even last time we were doing this stuff, I think you were playing a lot more passively round start. And that might just be like because I know you do a lot of like up back and jump backwards and round start. So like definitely just like trying to be a lot more aggressive is probably going to get you. I mean, it's probably going to like kill you more in the beginning.
Yeah.
But like, after you kind of figured out like what buttons I like pressing around start, your conversions off of those, because that's a big thing, right? Like you could punish someone's round start all the time, but if you're getting 10 damage and no setup after it, they're gonna keep doing it to you because they're like, well, if he, if he doesn't punish this correctly, I'm just gonna keep doing it, and like, like what I get soft knockdown into no Oki, like I'm fine, like it's a pretty fine round start. If I'm right, he dies.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, I take 5 damage. So you're obviously gonna have to like go in the lab and practice. Your combos off of those round starts too, right? Because something could be like your 2D, for example, could be really good round start, but you get no combo off of it, which you do get a hard knockdown. So that's like a bad example. But let's say like 2K, right? You press 2K, you get no combo, and then they could just press a button right away anyway. It's like, well, maybe 2K isn't a really good round start there because you get no combo, you don't really get anything off of it, and like like they ended up being plus afterwards anyway or something like that. That's gonna how you want to think about it. It's like, okay, what can I do to put myself in a good situation that's gonna make my opponent struggle, I guess. And that's kind of how you want to think about it. So I mean, I'm not gonna lie, playing more aggressive round starts is gonna lose you a bunch of games because you're just not gonna know. But I think it'll kind of put you in the mindset of how am I going to play this round start better next time. And I kept fucking losing to this one button. What can I fucking do? Like today I kept losing to pot J or pot standing H because I couldn't do anything about it, and it hard knockdowns now if I get hit in the air.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, like my whole strategy kind of like changes against pot now. Like I got to figure out how to beat this button because jumping into it just doesn't work anymore. So that's kind of like how you're gonna have to think about like improvement. Like you're not just gonna wake up, one day and be like, well, I'm the best round starter in the game. It's like, I keep getting fucked by this. How can I beat this? And then now you know how to beat it. Now when it comes to you next time, you're just like, wow, like this is great, right? Like I killed him because he did this move rather than I died and felt bad afterwards. So, all right. Any questions? Anything you should want to talk about?
No, I think I got it. Yeah.
Sweet. And if you want to record some games or sets that you were unsure about or sets that you even felt proud about, like your round starts, go ahead and we could probably watch it next time.
Okay.
I want to get this round start kind of like locked in on you. Then we could kind of go from there.
Word up.
Sweet.